what brings meaning, what brings happiness to life. The secret to happiness is being a giving person. Whether it's tzedakah or chesed, the more you give to someone, the more you love it.
Ahava, the root word is hav, which is lehavi, which is to give. The more you give, the more you love.
If you're going to give $100 to one person or a dollar to 100 different people, give $1 to 100 different people because it helps the giving muscle. What more could Hashem want than his sons and daughters coming together to give to our brothers and sisters who are less fortunate?
Beruchim Abayim, and welcome to Torah Talks Chazaq's Tuesday night program with special guests. We have with us Dr. Jonathan Donath. Welcome. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
Amazing. What an honor. The founder of dailygiving.org. What a revolution. What an exciting Torah talk we're going to be having tonight. The topic is the gift of charity. And Doctor, if you give us a little bit of background about yourself before we talk about the...
Sure. I'm not a New Yorker. I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I grew up there. My parents moved there a long time ago and raised myself and my three siblings there. And there was no Jewish high school at the time, so we all went out of town for high school. I went to Skokie Yeshiva for 4 years and then made my way to Israel for a year and a half and then to YU. And then I became a chiropractor. So I went to chiropractic school for 4 years. And then I've been living in New York since January 2000.
Nice. Amazing. And then... how did this whole thing just happen?
It didn't just happen. Basically, I was listening to a shir one day, and
Chazaq must have been.
It was for sure a Chazaq shir, yeah. And it was talking about how even a small mitzvah matters, which is could be the topic of tonight's shir, right? You never know who's going to listen to this and be inspired by tonight's talk, right?
And I'll never forget how the idea was brought to me by Rabbi Pesach Kron. I'm like, yeah, sounds amazing. Sure, we'll be one of the organizations and stuff, but how much are we going to get already? But Kanaina Baruch Hashem, that small action, that small dollar is adding up and it's making such a big difference. Kanaina Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, so that's what happened. I listened to the shir. It was talking about small mitzvahs matter. I put $1 in the tzedakah box like we always do in shul every day. And I just had this like very strong feeling just hit me. And no matter how much tzedakah I give, I still get a mitzvah for that $1.
That's right.
So I was like, how can I guarantee myself the mitzvah tzedakah every single day, no matter what, for $1? That's the idea that popped into my head. I could not get out of my head. It was very strong. I had a hard time focusing on Shemona Esrei. And I went home and I started Googling, is someone, doing automating daily giving, tzedakah giving? I remember as a kid, my mother always telling me, give me a penny, a nickel to bring to school. And I was like, what happened? Why did we stop doing that as adults? Why there's so many things that we try and we're told to do daily. Why is tzedakah daily not a thing?
Wow.
And so thank God I was so surprised that I couldn't find anyone doing it. And it's funny you mentioned Rabbi Kron because the thought I had in my head, my first call was to my website guy who built my websites for my business. And I said, Shaul, what do you think of this idea? He says, great idea. So I was like, can you build me a website? He said, absolutely.
Nice.
And then I called my other best friends. We started meeting about, what to call it and the 501c3, becoming a nonprofit, such, different ideas, how to execute it. And then I thought to myself, if I could convince Rabbi Pesach Kron to speak about daily giving the way he talks about Torah anytime, I am going to blow this thing up. That was the second big idea. And I got Rabbi Kron's number and I called him. I remember
he's on the rabbinical.
He's on the rabbinical council. So yeah, so I called him and my heart was beating out of my chest. And as the voice of Torah anytime picked up the phone, I couldn't believe it. And I told him, he says, it's a great idea. Like, no one's doing it. I said, Rabbi, no one's doing it. So he said, we need to get a rabbinical council together. No one's going to know that the money's not going to your kid's college fund. I said, you know what? It's a good idea. So that's
Rabbi Greenberg, I know.
Rabbi Greenberg, Moshe Tuvilif, Herschel Schechter Shlita. Yeah, a great group. Yeah.
So can you please explain how giving charity is a gift to us, the one who is giving the charity? So.
Yeah, I mean, listen, tzedakah is one of those things where you ask someone like, what brings meaning? What brings happiness to life? What's like the secret to happiness? And I think that the secret to happiness is being a giving person, whether it's tzedakah or chesed, whatever it is. Like, what makes you happiest in life, right? What Rav Dessler says, the more you give to someone, the more you love it, right? That's why we love our children so much.
Love in Hebrew is ahava. Ahava, the root word is hav, which is lehavi, which is to give. The more you give, the more you love.
Right. And so, I mean, tzedakah is the same way, right? Like, it makes you feel so good. Sometimes you have to, almost say, like, am I giving this selfishly, right? Because it makes you feel so good.
Right.
But I also think there's another parts of tzedakah that's difficult. I think that I've seen, as you run your own nonprofit, you see that it's not always easy to get people to give. And I really, truly think that Hashem gave us this big yetzer hara when it comes to tzedakah. And it's so interesting that I see some people are like just like born givers. they just do it. They love it. They give you like the shirt off their back, and like it's not hard for them. And then I'm not one of those people naturally. I'll admit right now, I'm not one of those natural people that it's easy for me to give. I think that it's gotten much, much, much easier. And that's what the Rambam says. Like if you're going to give $100 to one person or a dollar to 100 different people, give $1 to 100 different people because it helps the giving muscle, right? That's and the more you give and the more you give, the easier it is. And I could say that for myself. That's been huge. I think that I give way more tzedakah now in the last 5 years than I ever did before. Not just the daily giving. You can hit me up later, right? But it's really true that it really does help. The more you give, the more you and it really makes you happy. I mean, there's 100%. Not that many things that make you truly happy in life, but when you give someone to something, you see the effect they're having. Like it's really a powerful thing.
What I always say is what's special about daily giving is the fact that you're not just giving towards one specific type of a cause. It's not just one organization that does, for example, Chazaq, Kirov. It's a whole gamut, whether it's Hatzalah, whether it's those that are poor, whether it's those that unfortunately they have the machal and they have disease and the sicknesses. Every type of organization is, in a sense, under your belt with daily giving.
That's exactly right. We call it a diversified portfolio, a tzedakah ETF, right? And that's why we had talked before. Let's tell your listeners like that Rabbi Yaniv said, a long time ago, he said, we tried, Chazaq tried this, and I'd say probably 12, 15 different founders of organizations told me, we have to admit that we thought when daily giving started, it was going to be a total epic fail. Yes. It's like we all tried that. That's the oldest trick in the book. We have 3,000, 5,000 givers. Just get everyone to do 1 month, $30 a month, and that's our whole budget. And each one of these founders told me it wasn't just like it almost worked. It was like a total and epic fail. And the reason I think that daily giving has struck with people, I'll say struck gold, and in terms of just getting so many people, we have now over 15,000 givers from 39 countries, right? Giving $1 a day together, right? Like what more could Hashem want?
Recording by the time it'll be
right. Aired. Hopefully it'll be much more, right? But what more could Hashem want than His sons and daughters coming together to give to our brothers and sisters who are less fortunate? And I think the secret sauce is the achdus and the fact that we give to a different organization every day and different types of organization, because it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, you can't give to everyone. We get those envelopes in the mail, we get calls every day. Like we just, thank God, there's a lot of need. There's a lot of need, and we can't give to everyone. But with daily giving for $1 a day, you get to help over 75 different incredible Jewish nonprofits.
75, huh?
Over 75.
Off, I remember.
It started off, you were one of 36, but your checks used to be a lot smaller. Now they're a lot bigger.
They should continue being bigger. So quite often people feel like, I have so many personal needs. Why should I be a giver? Why should I be a giver?
Actually something I don't know, I can't quote anyone, but I heard it recently on a podcast or something that basically said that even if you're on full tuition and you are getting tzedakah given to you, you're literally living in poverty, you are still responsible for tzedakah, 10% meiser, right? I was shocked by that. And I think that it's because even if you use some of the money, someone gave you tzedakah to give to others, like, I think Hashem wants you to have that feeling also of being a giver, right? Like that's how important it is to be a giver. Hashem is the ultimate giver, right? If we sit and think about, I'm a pain physician. I treat people in pain every day, all day long, right? I see suffering, right? And but Hashem, so if you think about like what has to go right, 1 trillion things have to go right every second for us to open up our eyes in the morning and for us to talk and for us to have this conversation. And if we sat and thought about it, we'd be grateful, beyond grateful all the time, but we forget, right? And so I think that Hashem is the ultimate giver who's giving to us every single second, every single day. And when you give back to someone, it's just we're trying to emulate Hashem. Hashem is the ultimate giver, and we're supposed to act the same way.
100%. And we know in the Torah it says that v'natnu, it's a palindrome. Natan is to give, nun, taf, nun. Also in English, interesting enough, N-A-T-A-N. When you give, you get. The more you give, the more you're going to be getting. So everybody needs. Everybody has needs and wants and stuff. But at the end of the day, the more we give to others, the more Hashem will give back to us. Hashem, that's it.
And also giving can also be chesed. It doesn't have to be money.
That's true.
Right? There's also sometimes people really truly can't afford to give even $1.
As the saying goes, time is money. So many times people spend time volunteering for an organization, for a good cause. Sometimes it's much better than money, because with their time and energy and kochot and ideas and whatever it may be, they're able to do much bigger and better things. Many people think, in order to start an organization, I need a certain amount of money in the bank. Lav dafka, not specifically. Many organizations, including Chazaq, started with nothing. It was just a mission. It was a goal. It was we had that want to help, and Baruch Hashem, Chaz Hashem, thank God we're able to help so many people. That's what it comes down to. So, any stories stick out from daily giving or daily givers?
Yeah, I think that because we're talking about, the actual, giving tzedakah now, or like not just daily giving, but this one story, and I've told this before, so I apologize if your listeners have heard the story, but I just think it's just a Mikam place. It's a Mikam place for a moment, and that is that one gentleman once signed up for daily giving, and let's just preface the story. When you sign up for daily giving, every single day you get an email telling you where your money went that day. Right, so it's an incredible way you're learning about tzedakahs. That's one of the greatest things, right? Like I've had other organizations told us, Masam Chilev, a really amazing poverty organization that helps widows. They told us that one day they couldn't figure it out, but 8 people went on their website on a random Tuesday and gave them a lot of money, and they could not figure out how. They were internally asking every organization, did anyone have a meeting? Why did 8 people go to our website on a random Tuesday to sign up for daily giving? To sign up for Masam Chilev, and they finally realized that it was the day the daily giving had given them, and we sent out our email to 14, 15 at the time, 14,000 people, and with a link and a video about the organization, and people were so inspired what they did, they gave more, right? So we don't even know how much we've already handed out over $10.8 million in 4 years, right? But we don't really know the true impact, because I know for a fact another head of an organization told me that he got a $10,000 check from someone. He said, "How did you hear about us?" I said, "Daily giving."
Wow.
So that's another thing. But so every day you get an email. So this gentleman,
I get the email every day. I am a daily giver, just for the record, for the whole world to know.
For many years. Yes. Thank you for giving. And basically every day you get an email. So this gentleman one day signed up for daily giving, and then 30 seconds later signed up again with a different email, and then proceeded to do that 5 different times with 5 different email addresses. And I called him up to thank him, and I said, "Thank you so much. Did you sign up your children?" Because I know a lot of people do that. It's an amazing way to teach your kids about tzedakah, right? You can't tell your kids about large checks you write, but $1 a day you can maybe tell your kids about. And so he said, "Yes, I signed up my kids." I said, "Wow, that's incredible. How old are your children?" He said, 1, 2, and 4.
Wow.
And I said, "You signed up your young kids?" He said, "Yeah, I already reserved their Gmail addresses. So now in 7, 8, 9 years, when I give them their passwords and they get their email for the first time, they're going to open it up, and they're going to see only one email repeated hundreds or even thousands of times. Thank you for your donation." And they're going to see that they were always givers every single day.
What a powerful story. That's an amazing idea, by the way. Never thought that. I have to tell my wife, if you're listening, Lior, she'll open up emails for the kids and do that.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? Just for hopefully everyone is inspired to do that right now. You don't actually have to open up 5 different accounts. You could do $5 a day or $7 a day, or hopefully you have $15 a day for your children, whatever. And we could just put all their email addresses, and you don't have to open up 5. You get 1 tax donation. You don't have to get 15 different emails,
That's amazing. So how does it work? So that literally $1 a day goes out of the people's credit cards? Or?
Oh, good question. I'm glad you asked. Yeah, so there's a transaction fee when you sign up for anything. So if we charge everyone $1 every single day, 30 cents of that dollar would go to the credit card fee.
Right.
So you have 2 choices. The Rabbanim told us to do. We have a monthly option, so it's $32.60 a month, or $384 a year. And the reason why it's a dollar more for the month and a couple dollars more for the year is that it's just purely for the credit card fee. There's a 2 point whatever percent, and then there's the transaction fee. So literally, what comes into Daily Giving's bank account is 100 cents of that dollar goes back out. Daily Giving doesn't take a penny. 100 cents of your dollar goes to the tzedakah organizations like Chazaq, like Torah Anytime, like Bonei Olam, and A-Time, and Hatzalah Air, and Chesed 24/7, and Camp Haskin, and Victor's Helping Hand, and on and on. Yeah, there's more. There's so many good,
You might get in trouble for missing some names. But all seriousness, Dr. Donath, what an inspiration. What a chizuk. It's unbelievable. So one is watching and saying, why should I become a daily giver? What's like, if they need that extra push, that like we've heard so much.
Yes.
I mean, like if
that's a good question. I think that even though there are people that go to Minyan every day, and they daven every day, and they give tzedakah. There's people that say, "I go to Minyan every day. I give a couple dollars every day."
Even though there wasn't Minyan during COVID, and I know that daily giving during COVID was really, really pushing it out there, saying that people aren't going to shul.
Right.
So this is your opportunity.
But even people who go to shul, I tell them, how often do you have an experience every day that you could do something with 15,000 of your brothers and sisters every day? Right? What's $1 today? Every day, our dollar becomes less and less valuable. Right? Daily giving becomes a better deal every single day. It's still only $1 a day, right? But your dollar, when you give together, has such a massive impact. We're giving over almost $5.6 million a year out. Wow. When you hear the number 15,000 a day, you're like, okay, that's a lot, but it's over $5.5 million a year. We're just starting, right?
Wow.
If we get 1% of all Jews to give $1 a day, do you know how much that'll be?
It's 14 million.
Almost 15 million. That's 1% would be $150,000 a day. It would be like over $60 million, $70 million a year.
Everyone else to the side with regards to organizations. If Chazaq had that, every so often those checks coming in, we'll be able to do a lot more good.
Yeah,
for Klal Yisrael, for Jewish people,
and that's the key. Like, right, like you see the impact you're having. Right, that's the thing. Daily Giving chooses very impactful organizations so that people can feel like they are actually having an impact, right? So many people actually struggle. They tell me they struggle with tzedakah. Like, what's their $36 check going to do? And what's their $180 check going to do? Is it really going to move the needle? And with Daily Giving, I was telling you, Jonas and Rosenblum wrote this great article in Mishpacha magazine about a year ago, and about 100 people signed up from just one article, which is, you might seem little, but you know what? People, I tell you, people have the yetzer hara to give. Like, people might hear this right now and they go, oh, I'm going to give. But if you don't do it right now, if you don't hit pause and take the 30 seconds to go to dailygiving.org and actually sign up, you might forget. I've seen it 1,000 times. We would literally have 100,000 already. People are like, you must be so excited how much you're giving. Like, I thought we would have 10,000 the first 2 months. Right? It took almost 4.5 years to get to 15,000, right? We should be at 115,000 by now. You know, right? We always ask each other, why don't we have more? It's like, and everyone who gives loves it. Like, the satisfaction rate is like 100%. Like, everyone just loves being a part of it. That's why it's the achdus and the fact that no matter how much you're giving, no matter, even if you think you're giving every day, you don't have your wallet on you Motzei Shabbos. Right? Not bad, right? You don't have your wallet Motzei Shabbos. You have to remember you're covered 365. I don't want to say which Rav on our rabbinical council said. You know what? I love the fact, since I don't have cash anymore, whatever, that even if I'm not Vayvarach David, I don't have the coin on me. Like, I know I'm covered. Daily giving. I gave my daily giving. I'm covered.
The coins. I still do those 2-3 coins every morning. Amazing, very, 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 very inspiring, Dr. Donath. You know, there's a saying I've been using a lot lately. I don't remember where I got it from, but it's very, very powerful. Right now, people are getting a lot of information about daily giving, and many people are inspired about daily giving. Now, that's 2 eyes, information and inspiration. Now, the third eye is one that most people don't get to, and that's why you're only up to 15,000 people, not 150,000 people plus, whatever the number is implementation. They need to take the information and the inspiration and implement it and do it right away. And make sure that they use a Chazaq link. I'm just joking.
Absolutely. Tell us you heard about us from Chazaq. You know, we love to know how people heard about us.
But it's all seriousness. It's an amazing cause. It's unbelievable. And you know, lo hamidrash haikar elamas. It's not, you know, the Torah and the learning that's the main thing, but it's the actions. We have to take action. And this is definitely a cause that all the Gedolei Yisrael, I've seen the videos that you had during the campaigns of the top rabbis of the world speaking about daily giving and how an amazing revolutionary cause it is. And Baruch Hashem, to be part of it and to know of it since the inception, it makes me feel good.
Right, Chazaq is an OG, an original. One of the first 36 organizations they got from daily giving. Now we're giving over 75. But
yeah,
I'll tell you another story.
Yeah, please. Just we love stories.
Another great story. Someone had signed up for daily giving. It was the first year, and she was single. I know her. We're sort of distantly related. And she signed up for $2 a day, and I called her up. And I said, why did you sign up?
You call everyone that becomes a
not
daily
anymore.
giver?
Not anymore. It never loses its thrill, though. When my phone vibrates, I look down and I see, you know, a new giver, right? Like, it doesn't get old. But
you get the vibe.
Yeah, I don't call. I try to call, you know, sometimes when people sign up for the whole families, and I see, like, someone sign up for $8 a day.
So whoever wants to call from Dr. Donuts.
If you sign up for more than $5 a day, I try to personally call. I try really hard to. I wish I can call everyone. I really do. But I have a full-time job besides this.
Oh, really?
And but anyway, I called her up and I asked her, because she was, you know, again, someone I knew and I could be honest. And I said, why did you sign up for $2 a day? She was single. She was about 35 years old, never been married. And she said, I signed up one for myself and one for my future husband. Rav Yaniv, 6 months later, she got engaged.
Wow.
Okay. Now, I told that story to Rabbi Ben-Zion Klatzko from Shabbat.
Of course, yeah.
And he speaks to singles a lot. So he told that story. And he sends me a text one day that this woman in Chicago had signed up her daughter. She was 29. She'd been dating since she's 21 and was single. And she said, I signed up for $2 a day, one for her, one for her future husband. And she signed up on May 13th, and she met her chassan on May 20th. Okay? Then I was at a Ornav event. You know, Rabbi Wallerstein was a huge friend of daily giving.
Yeah. And Chazaq, we go back.
Yes,
way.
you knew him way long before I did.
I don't know if I could take credit for Rabbi Washington, but many Rabbanim had the schus in the beginning days to reach out to them and say, Rabbi, this is an amazing organization. Really, what, where, how? And they would speak about it, and Baruch Hashem, it was
I feel like Chazaq and Torah Anytime have made a lot of Rabbanim celebrities. Actually, you know what? I want to tell a story. I never told any story in a second. Let me finish this one story. I got to tell another story, okay? About Rabbanim. This is something just happened, okay? But anyway, so I was at an Ornava event, and these two girls came up to me, single girls, and they were already daily givers. And they said, can you set us up? And I didn't really have anyone that I knew that I could set them up with. But I said, there's a couple of people who signed up for $2 a day. Why don't you add another $1 a day for your future husband? And so I got a text, but 3 months later, one of them got engaged. He said, I can't. She said, I did it. I said, so I give a little more tzedakah. What's the worst that can happen? And she got engaged 3 months later.
Look at that. There's some schools over here.
And it's happened, and it's happened even more. So yeah, even if you give shalol lishma bal lishma, start with a month, start giving $1 a day monthly, and just see how much you love it, see how it makes you feel. And you'll see the bracha that comes into your life.
It's unbelievable. Amazing. Very inspiring. Very inspiring. You had another story about Rabbanim?
Yes, this just happened. So unfortunately, my aunt was nifter. She died about 2 weeks ago.
Oh my, our condolences.
Very young. Yeah, it was really sad. And so we went to Montreal. My family, my wife, and my kids. We went to Montreal, and we were in the Shiva house. And on Shabbos, we had. It's my father's. My father has 2 brothers in Montreal, and so it's his father's wife that passed away. And we had a meal on Shabbos with the whole family, like all our first cousins and everyone together. And somehow, I don't remember how it came up, but my uncle who lost his wife started talking about Rabbi Aryeh Leibowitz, how he's like, I listen to 3 or 4 shiurim a week, and he's just going on. He was so excited, the excitement of him talking about Rabbi Aryeh Leibowitz. Through daily giving, I happen to Rabbi Aryeh Leibowitz is a daily giver who happens to have spoken about on his very popular Daf Yomi shiur. He's spoken about daily giving many times. He's probably responsible about a couple hundred people have signed up for daily giving because of Rabbi Leibowitz talking about us. So I have this chus of actually knowing Rabbi Leibowitz and have his number. And so I just my uncle was talking about him. So on Motzi Shabbos, I texted Rabbi Leibowitz and I said, is there any chance you can maybe, I'll call you from the Shiva house tomorrow morning. Is there any chance you could talk to my uncle? I think it would give him such comfort, right? Yeah. And he said, of course. And you know what he said? Of course, what did he say? He said, well, it would be my honor, to bring the mitzvah to me, that I could be Menachem Avel. 100%. So it worked out. So minyan ended, whatever. I call Rabbi Leibowitz. He gets on the phone. Okay, I call my uncle out of the room. And he doesn't know. I didn't tell him. And I said, Rabbi Leibowitz is on the phone. He almost fell. I'm not even joking. He almost fell. Like physically, he almost fell off the, And he takes the phone and he walks to the next room. And he starts talking. He's like, and he just goes, and you hear the excitement in his voice. Like, I'm a big sports fan, so like I'm sitting there talking to my cousin, and I'm like, Mayor, like this is like he's in Canada. I'm like, this is like you meeting your childhood hero Patrick Waugh from the Montreal Canadiens, or meeting like Kirby Puckett, right? Like Lahavdil, right? Like this is like my uncle's not a sports fan, and he's not a movie guy. He doesn't like this is his celebrity. And everyone could hear him talking, and he talked for like 10 minutes, and like the whole place was like pretty silent. And he finished. He came back, and he was like glowing. I can't tell you, he was glowing. And he's like, if I could have spoken to one person in the whole world, that's who I would have wanted to talk to. And then he goes back, and my aunt was Yemenite, and her siblings, 5 of her siblings are sitting shiva too, and some of them don't speak English well. And so he explained to them. I heard him say, he's like, that was my superhero. I just spoke to my superhero. Like. I just want to share that. It has nothing to do with daily giving, but like me, Kam Chesro, right? Like this is what our heroes should be. Our heroes should be the Rabbanim and the amazing things they do. And I just it was an amazing moment.
100%. And the Rabbanim have a lot of hakar satov to individuals like yourself, like you said before, that the daily emails of different organizations like Chazaq, like many other organizations that people get. It builds the awareness. There's many organizations that were on daily giving or are on daily giving. I wasn't familiar with, so I got to get to know a little bit. Just an idea for all the organizations to come together one day through.
Yeah, we're planning something. We're planning something. We want
if you would be able to share plans, a vision of growth for daily giving in the future, is there anything that's public knowledge that you could give? I know that there's some massive campaign going on right now.
So but I'm glad you asked. Yeah, I forgot. So right now we are in the middle. During Asher's Meit Shuvah, we had this Rabbi Yisrael Abasrar, who you know very well.
Of course.
Who
I think you introduced us to.
And he's just, my team, by the way, also, like, I'm here sitting on this podcast, but I have an incredible team. Like, truly, you've met Rabbi Absar, incredible, Ari Friedner, Chana Butcher. We have a really incredible team of people who tirelessly work at growing daily giving. It doesn't happen by itself, unfortunately. It
just to reiterate that all expenses don't come from the daily givers.
That's correct. We raise every penny that we spend on salaries, on advertising. It's all fundraised separately. There are a lot of really amazing philanthropists who love what we're doing and see the power, and they help us with our back end expenses.
So your dollar goes purely.
So your dollar purely goes to the Tzedakah organizations and not to overhead. And so there's a lot of people involved. And so Rabbi Abasar had this killer idea. He's like, what if we call every one of our existing daily givers and we tell them about our Aseres Tshuva campaign? And all we ask is that each daily giver commits to getting one new daily giver. That's it. That's given. Just get one. You're going to call your friends and relatives for Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur anyway, right? Like, just tell them about daily giving. It's Shuvat Tefillah Tzedakah. This is the time. So if we all could just get one, hopefully we'll double during Aseres Tshuva right now. That's the hope. That's the hope. So hopefully everyone listening will sign up, be part of our campaign. Tell us you heard about us from Chazaq, and everyone should have a Gemar Chasima Tova.
Amen. But we have a minhag custom for one final message for Torah Talks, whether it was in another story. We've had a few stories, another insight, another take home message.
Final message. I think we said a lot. I think that let's go back to what we started with, which is like, being a giver. And being a giver does not just necessarily mean giving tzedakah, right? That everyone can give a little bit more of their time, and
smile,
or like, wait, just think about right now. Think about someone. You know what? I actually had this recent thing where one of my best friends, he told me that something inspired him. I know. Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg pushed daily giving on a Parshas Re'eh. I think he gave a 2-minute thing. He gave a little Parsha Shmooze, and he shouted out daily giving. So I sent it around. And something else he said like, maybe there's someone you hurt their feelings many years ago. And my friend heard this message, and he told me that he decided to reach out to someone who used to be his best friend. He hadn't spoken to in like over 10 years, that he felt he wronged. And he reached out, and they spoke. And he said, and I said, how'd it go? He's like, I couldn't even, he's like, I was crying. I couldn't like barely get a word out. The guy's like, are you dying? He thought he was sick. And he says, no, but he was inspired. Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg, for 2 minutes, spoke about, just said, if just pick up the phone, call someone who you never know the power
this
of.
This past year, and Robbie's here, you should hear this. On Tisha B'Av, for the last 2 years, I spoke about Shalom, about peace. The amount of people that reached out to me said that they like you said, picked up the phone and reached out, and families and friends and people that just they didn't get along for whatever reason. Just so inspiring. It's unbelievable.
Right.
So it's mamash. Just it's not only the giving is not only with tzedakah. There's many other ways of giving. Every single one of us, Mitzvah Hashem, should be a giver. Right now, before Yom Kippur, we should Hashem take it upon ourselves as much as possible. Dailygiving.org. Dailygiving.org. Be a part of it. If you're already a part of it, share the message far and wide. Share the wealth, the zchuyot, the merits, family, friends, neighbors. Let's B'ezrat Hashem continue tefillah, tshuva, and tzedakah as much as possible. I want to thank you, Dr. Dona, for everything you do for Klal Yisrael, for the Jewish people, for this amazing idea that you started and is constantly growing. Yagdil Torah, Baruch Hashem, Yagdil Tzedakah, if there's such a concept. But we want to thank all of our podcast players, Baruch Hashem, so many of them that are holding a shout out to Torah anytime, which you mentioned a few times. We give a shout out every single episode, more or less, to dailygiving.org. So we have dailygiving.org over here. $1 a day goes a very, very far way. And every single Tuesday night, Chazaq Torah Talks with special guests, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, chazaq.org/live. Suggestions for future guest speakers, dedications are always welcome. Info@chazaq.org, info@chazaq.org. Thank you very much. Gemar Chasima Tova to everyone.